Attorney Provo, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Ms. Provo, do you waive a record in Mr. Reyes' case?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Reyes, in cause number 331222, I have before me an information that alleges that on or about October 18th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class A misdemeanor offense of attempt to burglarize a building. Mr. Reyes, do you understand what you've been charged with? And to this charge, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, no contest. Now you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Mr. Reyes, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Mr. Reyes, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Reyes, there are several initials CR that's on the line next to a box that check guilty. Did you place your initials on this line? On page 3 of this same document, Mr. Reyes, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
And at the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that check. The first box that states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? And Mr. Reyes, I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant? Mr. Reyes, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you recognize these? Do you recognize these documents? And before you signed and initialed these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Mr. Reyes, are you a citizen of the United States? State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1?
Yes, Your Honor. State offer stage 1.
Any objections, Ms. Provo?
No.
No objections. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Ms. Provo, you have advised and counseled Mr. Reyes. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No.
Mr. Reyes, your attorney, Ms. Provo, has advised the counsel chief. Are you satisfied with her representation? Has she provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Mr. Reyes, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I'll also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for defendant plea of guilty in this case, the state is recommending that the court defer adjudicating guilt at this time and instead place defendant on community supervision for a period of 1 year, Your Honor. Require defendant to complete 100 hours of community service. And in addition, also require defendant to pay $1,000 restitution to Najib Khan, that's N-A-J-I-B, Khan, K-H-A-N, Your Honor.
You said it's not Najib Khan?
Yes, sir, N-A-J-I-B,
Okay,
last name Khan, K-H-A-N.
okay.
The probation conditions, Your Honor, are to include a more recognition class.
More recognition.
No
Okay.
early termination.
Recognition, okay.
And also, I believe it was a monitor,
Yeah,
electronic monitoring from 6 to 6, Your Honor.
GPS 6 to 6. 6 p.m. Okay. Okay, Mr. Reyes, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. During the 1 year probationary period, you will not be required to pay a fine. However, you will be required to pay court costs of $352. You will also be required to pay restitution of $1,000 to Najib Khan. You will be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. You will also be required to reimburse the court-appointed attorney's fees of $250. Your total monthly installments, that is, the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you are on probation, is $225 a month. Mr. Reyes, will you be able to pay the $225 each month?
Yes, sir.
You will also be required to perform 100 hours of community service. Your standard conditions will include electronic monitoring curfew from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. You've also agreed not to apply for an early termination. You'll attend and complete a moral recognition course as a condition of probation. And you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of this probation. Mr. Reyes, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer? Mr. Reyes, the court will follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Reyes, if you successfully complete this probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It would not result in a conviction on your record, and you may qualify for a non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney, Ms. Provo, about the non-disclosure because she's quite competent on those matters. Now, Mr. Reyes, you're going to stand on the X next to your attorney. You're going to follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. And Ms. Provo, this is your last case. Once you sign the documents, you'll be free to go as well. You have a blessed day.
Thank you. Right, I'll get your appointment right now. Ms. Reyes, if you can raise your right hand for me. Do you swear you have never before been convicted or given deferred adjudication or regular probation for a misdemeanor or felony, and this or any other step? And that you have no pending charges, that you're aware of? All right. Would you please have a here? Can you leave here, you know, report straight to the probation office, attach that map that's gonna be your right. Okay. Okay. Have a good day.
Okay, hold on a minute. This is not the right one. That's the wrong one. I just did. There he is. Yep. Okay, court is in session in two cases, 325-238 and cause number 332-944. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Tammy Denise Young. Who is Tammy Denise Young? Do you have those dismissals? Ms. Young, you're represented in this case by your attorney, Bruce Cobb, who is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Cobb, how are you doing?
Fine, Your Honor.
Okay, now, Mr. Cobb, the state is dismissing Ms. Young's cases, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And I have those dismissals. Could you hand this to Ms. Young? Ms. Young, your cases have been dismissed. You're free to go, and you have a blessed day, and you completed, you have finished your probation. You're no longer on probation. Do you give us some tissue? Ms. Scott, Ms. Young, you need some tissue for your. Okay. Okay. Now, Ms. Young, we understand that you have a medical situation. Court is praying that you have a full and speedy recovery. You're free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Mr.
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Cobb, you're free to go as well, and you have a blessed day.
Okay.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay. Am I free to go?
Yes, you're free to go. You have a blessed day.
Okay, thank you. You too. Bye.
You're welcome. Oh, both of those were, one was NTRP? Okay. Okay. Court is in session and cause number 333-182 and cause number 328-192. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Juan Gabriel Pagoda Bustillo.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes. Let's see what's still. Court is in session in clause number 333-182. Case of style of state of Texas versus Juan Gabriel Pagoda Bustillo. Mr. Bustillo, is that your full name? Mr. Bustillo, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Bustillo, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Mr. Bustillo, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Bustillo? That's good. Mr. Bustillo, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney James Padgett. Attorney Padgett, how are you doing?
Doing well. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Now, Mr. Padgett, do you waive a record in Mr. Bustillo's cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, now, Mr. Bustillo, you have two cases before the court, cause number 333-182 and cause number 328-192. However, I have before me cause number 333-182. In this case, the state has filed what is called an information. The information alleges that on or about March 6th of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the class A misdemeanor offense of tampering with a governmental record. Mr. Bustillo, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Sir.
And to discharge Mr. Bustillo, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Mr. Bustillo, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. It's also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Bustillo, there's a set of initials, JP, on a line next to a box that's checked guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On the next page of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And now, Mr. Pagoda is Juan Pagoda. Your last name is Bustillo too?
Yes. My last name is Bustillo. My first last name is Pagoda.
What did he say?
Pagoda.
Pagoda.
What you said the first time, he pronounces it a little different. So it's Pagoda,
Yeah, Pagoda and
Bustillo.
Pagoda
Okay, you say Pagoda and then what?
in Spanish is like Pagoda.
Okay,
Pagoda in Spanish.
Paglawada.
Kind of.
That was close.
We're pretty close.
Okay. Now, Mr. And then you also known as Juan Gabriel Pagoda Bustillo. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Bustillo, is this your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Now, let me ask you this here. Is there any particular reason why you don't put Bustillo as your last name?
I've always been using the last name.
Okay, I think what we might have to do is write Bustillo because they have you charged as Bustillo.
If that would be his normal signature though, then.
Right.
I mean,
Always sign that same.
Yeah,
if that would be his normal signature, then.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's interchangeable, I don't know how.
I know, but what I'm saying is this is his signature,
Mhm.
that's a signature.
How do you, well,
But he's never went,
how do you normally sign your name is what I'm asking.
Just the same as there, always in the papers.
Okay, oh,
have you ever signed your
pull up
name?
his, pull up the bond. Okay,
You sure?
okay, pull it up. Pull it up, yeah, I just need to see the copy from there, I can't see it from here,
Oh, you want me to just pull it up? Okay.
yeah. what is that? Okay, yeah, that's good. That's how you. Okay. Now, Mr. Bastillo, I have another document here. This document is titled. Okay, now, Mr. Bastillo, at the top of the same document, trial court certification, the defendant's right of appeal, there are two boxes that's checked. Do you reckon, the first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? And I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, going back to the trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, the first document is a paragraph on the bottom, at the bottom of the first page, and the paragraph is titled citizenship. And do you see this paragraph? Right here. It's titled citizenship. And I'll go over this paragraph with you. And it states, if you are not a U.S. citizen, a plea of guilty or nolo contendere may result in your deportation, exclusion from admission to the country, or denial of naturalization under federal law. And you are not a U.S. citizen, right? And do you understand this paragraph? Okay. Mr. Paget, just please have
Yes,
your
sure.
client just to put his initials by the paragraph.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Now, Mr. Bastillo, do you understand everything in it that we just read to you in this paragraph? And you still want to, do you still want to go forward with your plea?
Yes.
Okay, now also I have another document here. This document is titled for all foreign nationals except those of mandatory notification countries. Now, Mr. Bastillo, what country are you from?
Honduras.
Honduras, okay. Now I have this document, and in this document, it reads as a non-US citizen who is being arrested or detained, you may request that we notify your country's consular officers here in the United States of your situation. You may also communicate with your consular officers. A consular officer may be able to help you obtain legal representation and may contact your family and visit you in detention, among other things. If you want us to notify your consular officers, you can request this notification now or at any time in the future. Do you want us to notify your consular officers at this time? And there's a circle around no, and is this your signature on this document?
Yes.
And did you circle no? And so you understand, let me do this here. Prior to signing this document, did your attorney go over this document with you?
Yes.
And did you read and understand everything in this document? And is everything in this document true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
And Mr. Paget, pursuant to Padilla versus Kentucky, did you advise your client of the consequences, the immigration consequences of pleading guilty and no contest?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, Mr. Bastillo, all of these documents that we just went over, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1 to misdemeanor plea admonishment?
Yes, Your Honor. State office this one.
No objections to states one. Your Honor.
No objection. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Paget, you've advised in counsel, Mr. Bastillo, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None, Your Honor.
Mr. Bastillo, Your attorney, Mr. Paget, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes.
Mr. Bastillo, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your pleas and waivers were freely and voluntary given state. Do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
Your Honor, anything for defendant's plea of guilty in this case, the state is recommending that the court defer adjudicating guilt at this time and instead place defendant on community supervision for a period of 1 year. Your Honor, require defendant to pay $500 fine and to complete 60 hours of community service. Your Honor, and in conjunction with this plea agreement, the state will be moving to dismiss the MTRP that we filed in case number 328192.
Mr. Bastillo, the state is offering that you serve 1 year of deferred adjudicated probation. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $307. The total fine and court cost is $807. You will also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $150. Would you be able to pay the $150 each month? You will. You will also be required to perform 60 hours of community service. The state will be dismissing clause number 328192, and you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Mr. Bastillo, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bastillo, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Now, Mr. Bastillo, if you successfully complete this probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It will not result in a conviction on your record, and you may qualify for a non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Mr. Bastillo, you will stand on the X next to your attorney. Once you stand on the X, you will follow the directions of our clerk. Once you follow the directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. And Mr. Bastillo, do we have that that we're gonna get? Also, you're gonna get that dismissal, right?
Yes, sir. I was actually going to ask the court coordinator if we could put it on the
I'm
tablet
sorry.
for today.
Okay, yeah. You're gonna get a copy of the dismissal. Keep that dismissal with you, because if you get stopped, you'll have the case number, which is the warrant number. They'll know that the case has been taken care of. Because it just takes a little while to get out the system. Okay,
No.
not ever, I'm saying basically today.
Yeah, it'll take it a minute to get into the system, okay? So then you'll hold on to the paper and just for a day. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
and just, we can lay off, okay? Then I'll bring it.